The further reading comes out from Reaching Out, the three movements of the spiritual life by Henri Nouwen. It's a reflection on how our spirituality can help us respond to the needs of our world. Spiritual life, quote, is not a movement of growing withdrawal, but is instead a movement toward a deeper engagement in the burning issues of our time. Often our lives become a series of nervous and often anxious reactions to the stimuli of our surroundings. We are often a very, very busy and usually very tired as a result. But we should ask ourselves, how much of our reading and talking, visiting and lobbying, lecturing and writing is more part of an impulsive reaction to the changing demands of our surroundings than an action that was born out of our own center? It seems of great importance to know, with an experiential knowledge, the difference between an action that is triggered by a change in the surrounding scene and an action that is ripened in our own hearts through careful listening to the world in which we live. The movement is toward a gradual conversion from an anxious reaction to a loving response, unquote.
Spirit, draw near. Spirit, draw near. And again, I want to lift up those words that Laura read for us a few minutes ago by Henri Nouwen. He was a Dutch spiritual leader, and he, in his reading, writes about how spiritual life, this is what I really want you to take away. Spiritual life, he says, is not a movement of growing withdrawal, not a movement of growing withdrawal, but is instead a movement toward a deeper engagement in the burning issues of our time, deeper engagement in the issues of our time. So that's what I really hope you'll take away from that reading. And I think it's one we need today, because I have been hearing from a lot of people here in the fellowship that you have been struggling with quite a bit of stress and anxiety as the election day approaches. And I am right there with you. For me too, it's been a rough season. Even though I feel hopeful about what will happen, we all know there is so much at stake and it is so very close. So here's something I've been noticing. I've been noticing that the more I follow the polling and other election news, the more I feel afraid and tense. Part of me, frankly, wants to just go be a hermit or something until it's all over. But I know that that is not what we need right now. And yet, how do we fully engage? How do we channel our energy toward the outcome we are hoping for in this critical moment without trashing our inner peace and equanimity? Or, as Henri Nouwen puts it, how do we act out of our own center so that we can offer a loving response to this political moment? I'd like to share a story with you about a time some years ago when I found myself struggling with the same question, and about what gave me some guidance in that moment. Some years ago, I was serving one of our congregations near Washington, D.C. At that time, I was an associate minister in a large congregation. And I was invited to go to this huge interfaith vigil on the mall in Washington, D.C. in support of climate action. Now, I 100% believed in this vigil. I was excited that it was happening. I was excited that our climate action team and our lead minister were planning to be there. I was planning to go too and seize this opportunity to be part of something big and important. And yet, as it got closer, whenever I thought about the climate vigil, I realized I was feeling a lot of resistance. I did not actually want to go. The day before the vigil, I was making an 8-hour drive home from this week-long training that I was planning to be at. So I had this huge long drive to do right before the vigil. And the day after the vigil, I was getting on a plane for a trip back to Minneapolis to visit my family. So there was a lot going on. And knowing that on the day of the vigil, I would need to get up at 4 in the morning to take the subway into DC. Just thinking about it, I was so exhausted. I wanted to weep, even though I really believed in the mission and the message of it, and I felt like I should be there. So I was struggling with what to do. So it got to be a few days prior, and I was at this training, and it happened to be at a retreat center where there was a very beautiful labyrinth. I bet some of you have walked a labyrinth before, but if you haven't, when you walk a labyrinth, it's this beautiful pattern on the ground laid out, and it's not a maze. There's no wrong turns you can take. It's just one path that winds around and around and around. The basic practice of walking the labyrinth is you start by holding in your mind some kind of question or problem that you're facing as you enter the labyrinth. And then you hold that question or problem in your mind as you walk all the way along the winding path. When you get to the center, as you will eventually, you stay in that center for a bit and wait and see if some insight or answer to your question arises in you. And when you're ready, you walk back along the path and you let whatever insight came to you just kind of sink in and integrate itself within you. So I decided I need to walk the labyrinth. And I set out to do that after dark had fallen one night. I had never walked the labyrinth in the dark before, but I found I wanted to just kind of be quiet and by myself. There was just enough light to see the path. And as I stepped into the labyrinth, I asked this question that I had been struggling with. Do I go to the climate action? How am I supposed to be showing up in the world? What is my contribution to justice work right now? All that evening, I'd had a song stuck in my head. It was a verse from one of our hymns, and I was singing it to myself as I walked. I bet you know it. It goes like this. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control. Our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed. So I was walking around and around in the dark, singing to myself. And when I got to the center, I quieted down and I tried to listen. I said to Spirit, okay, I'm ready for some insight. Bring it on, please. And a lot of times when I walk a labyrinth, I get something back pretty quickly, some kind of a felt sense of what to do, sometimes a thought or a word or a phrase in my mind. But this time, I tell you what, all I heard was silence. There's just nothing. And I was standing there feeling kind of foolish and disappointed. And then I heard our hymn in my head again. Let inward love guide every deed. Oh, oh, let inward love guide every deed. And I realized that was exactly what I needed to hear. That's what I needed to do. So now I asked myself, okay, what would it mean to let inward love guide this decision? And it was so clear. My inward love for myself and my family and my congregation was saying, it's okay. You don't have to go to this vigil. It's good, it's important, but it doesn't have to be for you. You don't have to go just because you feel like you should. It's just not right. The timing is not right, but maybe there is something else you can do. and inward love for this planet spoke up and said, yes, you can do something else. You can post the heck out of this event all over social media, post celebrations and gratitudes for the people who are going, spread the word, be part of this big and important thing in a way that you can do without doing violence to yourself. So that is what I did. And my heart and mind, which had felt so jumbled, felt peace once more. It was such a relief. I really needed to hear that voice of guidance within me. And it's not like it wasn't there all along, but it was getting drowned out by all the shoulds in my head, all the worries about what other people might think of me. And so we all know that it can be kind of hard to slow down and listen to that inner voice. But the sense of clarity and peace it brings is what I want for you too, especially in times like these, especially in this moment where anxiety is high and the stakes are very high indeed. So now I want to invite you into an opportunity to check in with your own inner wisdom. And I'm going to invite you, if you're willing, to try out a brief guided meditation with me for a couple of minutes right now. Okay? So if you're willing, we're going to start by taking a minute in silence. And during the silence, there are a lot of things you could do. You might want to notice your breath moving in and out. Just notice. Or you might want to do a gentle body scan, letting your attention go from head to toe and breathe into anywhere in your body that feels tight. Or if you want, you could use a simple mantra practice saying, I am. On the in-breath, you just silently say, I, and on the out-breath, am. I am. Whatever feels right for you in the silence, let us take a minute now. And in a minute, I'll continue with another invitation. Let's take some silence. Okay, so now I'm going to invite you to put your hand on your belly if that feels comfortable and silently ask yourself, what do I need to feel at peace? What do I need to feel at peace? There's no right or wrong answer. Just notice whatever thoughts or images or feelings are coming up. What do I need so I can feel at peace? Let's take another few breaths. when you're ready, I'm going to invite you to put your hand on your heart and ask yourself, in this moment, in this country, what does it mean to let inward love guide my deeds? In this moment, what does it mean to let inward love guide my deeds? And again, just notice whatever comes up. We'll take another minute in silence here. So now I invite you to say thank you to your own inner wisdom for whatever it revealed to you. And when you're ready, bring your attention back to the outer world. Thank you. Thank you for practicing together. My prayer for you is that you will grow in clarity and confidence about who you are, about your own unique mission in this world, that contribution that only you can make. Blessings on everything that supports you, blessings on the path that leads us on, and blessings on this country. May wisdom guide us all. So may it be. Amen.